A young man encounters an unexplainable experience which leads to a strange obsession that forces him to seek out what's behind Area 51. He abandons his family and assembles a group of friends to find out. Will they make it through? Area 51 and aliens, myth or reality? Hello and welcome to our channel. Today we'll recap and review a sci-fi horror movie, Area 51. Let's check it out.
Reed, Darren, and Ben are having the time of their lives when they decide to party with friends, go wild, and are all caught up in the moment till it's time to go. On the way back, Ben and Darren are driving down a lonely, dark, and secluded road. What they find next is so shocking and spooky. Reed had gone missing at the party. Ben and Darren were shocked to find their friend in the middle of the road, looking lost, as though he had just seen Chucky with his knife. Ben and Darren rush down to get their friend. Scared and bothered, they are asking for explanations from Reed, but he could barely talk. After a few minutes, he finally speaks out of compulsion and tells his friends that he is fine.
However, it's obvious something must have gone wrong with Reed. From partying one time to looking like he just saw a ghost, what did Reed see? He keeps it a mystery, which you'll find shocking.
He tries his best to regain his senses and speaks to no one about what he saw. But his life takes a massive turn, from being best buddies with his guitar and partying, to fancying something else, which is quite strange. He begins to obsess and research more about aliens and the famous Area 51. He intensively pursues his desire to know what was going on. Reed has been devoted to this newfound hobby for 3 months. He decides and resolves that he's going to do the impossible. To be accompanied by his friends, he decides to go on a journey to find out what is in the restricted Area 51. That's extremely a reach, but Reed is really determined to clear up any mystery he thinks exists. It is a few days before the planned invasion. Reed is making sure he has everything in check to make the breaking successful. Ben questions Reed on how he really intends to pull this off. I'm pretty sure you're asking the same questions. He feels his friend is biting a little more than he could chew, but Reed assures him that it's easier to break into Area 51 than to rob a bank.
Well, the sound of breaking into a heavily guarded government facility does sound stupid, but Reed has never been less determined to achieve it.
Reed and his friends decide to take their plans to the next phase. They take a trip closer to the base they'd been invading. He also plans to meet up with a lady who is offering a couple of resources for their invasion. He arrives at a cafe and meets Jella. She is the daughter of a man who used to work and investigate Area 51. Jella takes them to a location where her father kept all of his discoveries before being murdered by people she suspects are government agents.
But why would they take him off the scene for knowing too much? It seems really fishy. Reed gains access to maps and guides made by Jella's dad, and they're quite detailed, and would definitely help him in their mission.
After learning of the heavily guarded doors that are only granted access to certain workers, Reed figures out a way to gain entrance through the doors, so he decides to follow the janitor down to his home. They follow the janitor patiently at his rear until they finally get to his residence. They decide to wait till he leaves, so they'll sneak in and grab his fingerprints and access cards. Ben questions the idea and feels it is inappropriate that they have gone this far. His doubts keep rising, but it is far less than what could stop Reed from going on. They wait till night, and when they finally see the janitor leaving through his garage, Reed and Darren rush down to quickly get into the quarter-opened garage. While Ben remained outside, they were able to get in. For the first few minutes, they're able to find nothing. They're almost caught when Ben informs them that the janitor is on his way back home with his family. Reed and Darren, still inside, rush to hide. However, they are able to leave with what they came for.
Reed and his friends are getting so close to getting what they've wanted. Would it be a dream come true, or just a nightmare they wish they never saw?
They luckily escape from the scene through their car. Ben is completely freaking and gets pissed at the risk that they've gone through. Reed calms him down, and amidst the conversation, he receives a voice message from Jella. He informs her of their successful raid. They drive closer to the restricted location now, but Ben is insisting he wants out of the whole trip. He agrees to only drive them off to the area and not be part of who goes in. But that's the least of Reed's issues right now. They drive off to a nearby local community where they reside around the marked area. They have conversations and interview some of the locals. They all speak of the horrifying terror of the place and the aliens' activities. Reed and the boys meet up with another man who tells them how to cheat the sensors and alarms. They are able to disable a few of them and set their eyes to fully invade at night. They return to their lodge, and to their greatest surprise, they find out there's another person inside. Could it be one of the weird locals? Apparently not, and voila, it's Jella. She walks out and makes it clear she is going in with Reed and Darren. Night falls and they are getting ready to move, but Ben's suspicion is now surging through the roofs. He speaks to Darren to get Reed to change his mind and sit down, but Darren, just like Reed, is sold to the course. They take additional measures to keep them from being dejected by the ammonia and heat sensors. Dara raises concern for Jella to stay behind, but Reed feels they owe her. She provided the leads, maps, and guides. They decide she'll join them, but Ben decides to stay. Ben takes Reed aside for a moment of truth. He asks why he's doing this. Reed finally comes clean and explains what happened to him at the party. He admits he saw a bright light and has been drawn to the area ever since that event. It's time, and they head out to the base where they are dropped off by Ben. He still maintains his decision and stays back in the car. They succeed in gaining entrance by evading the lines and helicopter search. They are able to stay conspicuous as they finally enter the main area. Perhaps Reed was right. However, their smooth journey is almost interrupted by an employee, but they try to escape. There is no doubt that something extraordinary is going on in this place, and they are only getting started. They access a room filled with funny and unusual costumes. When Reed finds a telephone on the ground, he picks it up. Suddenly, the telephone makes a loud alien noise and Reed begins to bleed from his nose. They quickly run out. They did not know where the noise came from, however, they keep going. They discover a different compartment of the place once again. They are almost caught, but they are able to hide properly. Darren is able to gain access to the lab, but it is nothing like the Earth's properties. They discover abnormal things, including a levitating rock. Their interest is short-lived when one of the species escapes and almost attacks Reed. They run off, frightened. Of course, they are not stopping. Reed believes there are more down there. They keep going and come across some very strange alien things, including a UFO spaceship. He enters the place and finds out more, and suddenly the entrance closes up. In there he discovers very weird alien pods. He doesn't have an explanation for it, but everything feels surreal to both of them.
Darren starts suggesting that they get out of the facility since they've seen quite enough, which has also been recorded on cam. Reed is adamant though and insists that they go see more. Soon enough, he'll be regretting the choice he stuck to.
The seemingly good time was going to an end when the alarm went off as they tried to gain access via fingerprints. A guard immediately spotted them as they tried to run. They split, with Reed and Jella going one way and Darren going another. While trying to escape, Reed and Jella enter a weird and spooky area. Both perplexed as to where they are, they notice human possessions littered about. This gives off a feeling of fear. Perhaps they just walked into the den of these abnormal creatures. Jella is so frightened, she can't help but panic. They find real-looking alien figures, which scares the hell out of them. The next image they saw was not going to be mere figures, as they spotted several pods of real-life aliens. Immediately, as they were looking, one of them got up and attacked them. When Reed screams for Jella to run, they are able to hide from the alien. Darren has been running away from the security guard when suddenly the guard is killed by an alien. He can't believe his eyes as he tries to hide behind a strong aluminum door. The creature violently attacks the door as he tries to tear it open. Jella and Reed are desperately trying to escape. They enter a tunnel, but Reed isn't sure of where it leads to as he lost the map. While going up the tunnel, they both hear an alien noise. They keep moving just before Reed gets sucked out of the tunnel and Jenna follows screaming. They appear in a strange-looking white room. The only thing that looked familiar was their faces. Reed notices a couple of symbols. He has seen them somewhere before. Those were the symbols Jella's father was scribbling while he is taking a look at it. The terror finally takes a hold of Jella. Reed is stunned as Jella is made numb and can't speak. This was what Reed experienced that night at the party. When Darren is able to make it out into the open, he sees other workers being forced to evacuate the premises too. The aliens have gained control and the security in charge can only evacuate people from the premises. Reed is confused and he tries to save Jella, but on touching her, the same thing happens to him. But the next thing that happens is beyond crazy. While Darren has successfully made it out, he has no knowledge of both Reed and Jella's whereabouts. The two are still stuck, and then they are sucked into some alien ships. Reed's camera falls off in the process as he and Jella disappear. Darren meets up with Ben, who does not have an ounce of what could be wrong. He hurriedly tells Ben to drive the car. While Ben is driving off, suddenly the engine of the car stops working. The same thing that happened to Jella and Reed happens. A bright light appears, and both Darren and Ben are sucked into the ships simultaneously. It's been 3 months and still no communication from any of them. Investigations are going on, but there's only a little they can know.
To be honest, combining science fiction and horror never fails to deliver in this movie. The storylines and scenes definitely have you on the edge of your seat most of the time. It successfully gives off a spooky feeling from the first scene, also a good one and pretty realistic. However, it could have been way better if the storytelling wasn't so tacky and didn't look exactly like the producer's previous movie titled Paranormal Activity. Still, a good one if you particularly enjoy conspiracy and alien-themed movies. Please subscribe to our channel to be notified when we upload. Also, don't forget to suggest movies you want us to recap in the future in the comments down below.